Hey everybody, I just want to welcome you to my new channel. Um, I created this channel because I'm a huge fan of uh, Chris Maroney at Mars Anomalies and Beyond and his sister channel, Lunar Anomalies and Beyond. And I've been watching it for a few years, and I've really been impressed with some of the stuff that he finds in these photos and brings them out. And so I thought, you know, maybe somebody should go through and make some 3D renders of this and see what we're looking at, or get an idea of what we're looking at maybe a little better from a 3D perspective. So what I decided to do was um, take some of this stuff and see if I could render it out. Here's the screen cap of his YouTube channel here. This is Mars Anomalies and Beyond, and I really encourage you to, before you watch this video, to really watch his video and uh, and see what you see in there. And maybe I'm correct on what I think it is, and maybe I'm not. I don't know. I put all the pieces together, and I just I started looking at this from a broad perspective and trying to discern what this stuff was. Now, everything that we're going to look at today comes from Gigapan that was by Neil Spence over at Terraform Mars. You can check out his Facebook page, and he does some really excellent panoramic views using Gigapan. And he makes these beautiful Gigapans, and they are just wonderful. I mean, you can get a real big perspective on the area. And what we're going to do is I've screen capped some of these pages, or some of these images from Chris's channel, and then what I did was I tried to model these out in 3D to see what we're looking at. And these structures that Chris found in these images are just phenomenal. He talked about this one structure here that he said was either a structure or a ship. And I'm going to show you, if you see these pipes that are behind this structure right here, I'm going to show you what I discovered through these by zooming in, really studying the picture and studying the stuff around it. Now, you have to remember that these images came from the Mars Curiosity rover, the Mars Science Laboratory, and that is the Curiosity rover. And you have to remember where the rover is right now. It is over there in Gale Crater, climbing up Mount Sharp. And NASA has even told us now that Gale Crater used to be a huge lake. All right, it was formed by a crater impact, they say, and back in the early days when Mars had water and a thicker atmosphere, and most likely vegetation, this was a huge lake. And I just want you to look at these pictures. Of course, the original image credit goes to NASA and JPL. And then a big thank you to Neil Spence at Terraform Mars for making the Gigapans. And once again, I would recommend watching Chris's video on this. You can see the title of it here. You can look that up, and really watch that first and see what you think is going on in this area. And here's a better image right here of those pipes that are behind the boat. And let's see, do I have another one? Well, that's the best image right there. And I just want to show you this. Now, this is kind of what I believe we are looking at. And I'm going to show you first just some images, and then we'll actually go into the 3D model and see what I see in there. And I may be right, and I may be wrong. And of course, I ask you to leave your comments and tell me what you think. Maybe I'm completely wrong and this is not what we're looking at. So let's take a look at this first image here. Okay, this is looking from the perspective of the front of the boat. If you go back to the image here and you look at this, we'd be looking at the area to the right of the screen over there. And that's the perspective we're looking from, and you can see the pipes in the background over here against this hill, and you can see, of course, the boat, or what I think is a boat. All right, so this is the first image. All right, and this is rendered in Blender 2.8. Very good software. I recommend the software. If you want to think about getting into CGI, download Blender 2.8. It's totally free, and it's very powerful software. Now, I'm not the best at CGI and modeling and stuff, but I'm getting a little better, you know, texturing and stuff like that. But this was supposed to be a real quick scene, and it took about a week for me to render it, to get it to where I could render it, to build the models and everything. And so here's another image of the back of the boat here. And I really do believe this is a ship, because if you look at the back, it's not completely straight in that picture, like a structure would be. And you can see that in my render here, and if you follow the lines in the image too, you can see that that is actually curved right there. Let's see if I can find the image of the back of the boat. Well, not really. That's probably the best you're going to get right here. But if you look at the back of the boat, and you can take a screen cap of that if you want and zoom in, you'll see that that edge is actually curved. All right, so that's the first image that we have. And let's see. This right here is a close-up of what I believe are pipes sitting back there. They're some sort of metal. It's pitted and corroded. When you really zoom into it and look at it, you can almost see that it's pitted metal, and it's probably been there for a long time. So I couldn't tell you how long, because I have no idea, you know, how fast stuff decays on Mars with their atmosphere. And this is on the other side. Now, there's more pipes that were in the middle. I just didn't have time to model them all, because as I was working on this, Chris had uploaded this video on his Lunar Anomalies and Beyond channel, and I was really blown away with this one too. And I'll show you a preview in a bit of what I did there. I've already started working on that model, because it's just phenomenal, and I'll explain more in a bit. But back to the pipes here. So I have no idea what this pipe thing is on the right, but you can see it's got a weird shape to it. And there's actually another piece that should go on top, but I just didn't have time to go into it. So what I want to do now is open up the scene in Blender and try to give you a look at that. And so hang on just a second, let me get my scene set up here. All right, so I got the scene open now, and I'm trying to give you a perspective here of what we are looking at. And I loaded the wrong scene. Hang on, that's the next part we'll look at. Okay, so here you can kind of see this ship, I believe, is made of wood, and this is just the top deck of the ship that seems to be left here. And let's rotate around to the back here. Now this piece in the middle here seems to be separate from the ship. It might have been the mast or something if it was a sailboat. But you can see I did the best I could to model this here based on the picture that Chris had provided from Neil Spence at Terraform Mars. I'm trying to get the perspective right. Let's do this. And you kind of see all the little what's left of the structure there. All right. And the reason I believe this is a ship, by the way, is if you notice in this front area here, it tapers off, and you can go back to the picture and look at that. It actually tapers off at the front, and you can kind of see that in here. And there's actually more cross members in here, but once again, it's hard to make out in the picture, and it took a lot of time to model what I did so far. I'm not the greatest at modeling, by the way, but I just want to show you, here's those pipes, and you can take a look at these. They look pretty cool. This one, from what I could tell in the picture, was hollow in the middle. I have no idea what this thing is, but it looked pretty cool. And then here's the other pipe that's on that side, and you know, you can see it's kind of got a squished down look to it in the picture, and I don't know if that was just from the perspective or if that's how the pipe looks, but it looks a little squished down, so I went ahead and modeled it that way. And then there seems to be a concrete wall that's behind it. It really looks like concrete when you zoom into it. And then there's this torus-shaped object, almost looks like a tire, but I have no idea what that is. But it looks like the same material, probably a metal material or something. And then here's that really weird shaped one. And I encourage you, watch this video, take a screen cap, zoom in and see if that's what I'm seeing, if you're seeing the same thing, because this is really, really an interesting object. And once again, here on the top, there should be another cap piece, but you can't see it in enough detail, but it seems to follow this shape of this kind of corrugated in and out pattern, if you really look into it. The next thing I want to show you is this right here, and this is the next part of this video where he actually went in and cleaned these up. And let's see, I have this one. Okay, this is what we're actually going to start with right here. I accidentally clicked on the wrong one, but he was saying these, I think he made the joke some about this piece here that's kind of in the middle, just off to the left a little bit of the screen. What is that, a Martian toaster or something? But this is the other reason I think this is a ship, because all these pieces seem to fit with an old style sailboats. All right, and that's what I saw here. And let me just show you this one here also. These are all of these that you see lying around here are actually pulleys and winches for hoisting sails, and you'd find these on a old sailboat, you know, on an antique sailboat. And I'm going to show you, let me go back to this one, because there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Okay, to the right of this, I think people made some comments on this, that they thought this was some sort of creature. This big winch that's here in the just off to the left, the center of the screen, and in the center of the screen, a lot of people commented they thought this was some sort of creature or something. It's actually not, and I'm going to show you that in Blender what I saw that it was. And if you really zoom into that picture, you can see that there's actually a metal pulley in the middle of that. And why this is always starting in solid mode, I don't know. And I'm going to show you that object right now, in fact. Okay, so here is the same image, all right, that I modeled in Blender. Let me just zoom in and this is what we're looking at. There's that big winch piece, all right. Click on it so it'll rotate around it. And those slots that are in there are actually where the rope goes through and runs on these pulley wheels, all right. And once again, my texturing is not the best, but I think you can get the idea there of what we're looking at. Okay, those are pulley wheels, and let me show you what these winches look like. Where did I put those? As soon as I find them. Okay, there they are. All right, this right here is an antique pulley from a ship. All right, and you can see the metal pulley wheels. Now, I had actually modeled those in metal, but for some reason my texture from the sides of it got got changed, so I'll go back through and rechange that. That won't be a problem. But you can see that this is wood, and it's pretty well rotted on that one. And I got one more that is right here. And this will give you a better idea of what some of these look like. Now, the difference between the one we have on my scene is the fact that this one that's found on Mars is got this side piece to it on it, but that's for bracing and support. There was probably another piece that was on the top of this, because if you look real close in the picture, you can see the hole up here too, all right? And that goes all the way through and everything. Now, here's that object that people thought was some sort of creature. This is actually, if you look in that image again, you can see there's a metal pulley wheel in there. And what I believe was throwing people off was there's a rock leaning up next to it, or some other object. It may not be a rock, but that's the best I could tell on there. Was it looked like a rock leaning up next to it. And that kind of threw people off, because this is made of some sort of brass or shiny gold type metal, and then it was silver in the middle. And then let's go back to the image here. You can see there is a, all right, you see that? Okay, there's another pulley that's back here. All right, and that's back here. Let me just flip back and forth so you can see this. And if you look in the background, it's up towards the center of the screen at the top, just to the right of center. And that's this one over here. And this one is very similar, except it has this metal brace that goes across. And I don't believe that the wheel was in this one. I couldn't see it, but I went ahead and put one in there anyway. And then right next to that is another rotted and decayed winch, and the only thing that I could see that was left are the slats on the side. All right. And then, oh, I'll just mention this. Chris did mention that there looked like some sort of structure in the background. Well, if you look real close, it is some sort of structure or a tunnel, and it goes up and over, and then it flanges out at the bottom, and it is partway buried into this hill. It's kind of behind it. All right, it's partway buried in there, and it seems to be a tunnel that goes into the mountain or something. I wasn't real sure. And then I saw another pulley back here. All right. And let's go back to this image one last. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I didn't have it on the video, but okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is that structure that he saw in the background, and then I'll show you again. These are those other pulleys. This is the one with that metal brace going across here, right here, and then this wooden slats and stuff that are all that's left of that other pulley. And then if you look in this image one more time, just to the right of this one pulley that the people thought was a creature was this decayed wood. And this is not a rock. This is almost certainly decayed wood. And that's how I modeled it too. All right, was as some decayed wood. I tried to get the basic shape. And the reason this one seems to be floating in the air is if you look real close at the image, sorry about that. I'm kind of new with this OBS, so bear with me. All right, I modeled this as wood, and this seems to be sitting on this rock right here. There's a rock underneath, and you can see it in the original image. Okay, you see that shadow and everything, that's that rock. Now, in this other image, let's see, where is that image? Nope, nope, that's the one I want. Now, these are the objects that really interested me too. Going along with the theory that this is a boat, all right, if you look at that one object that's in the center of the screen towards the bottom, I'm not sure if that is another pulley that's decayed so much or some sort of other object. We looked at that and looked at that, and we couldn't tell what that was. All right, but what's really interesting is if you look in there, there is this object right here, and I took a look at that and really studied that, and I'm telling you that looks like a wrench just sitting there on top of a rock, and I didn't model the rock that it was sitting on, but that's what it looks like, is a wrench, or if you're British or Australian, it's a spanner. That's what that looks like. And I'll get a close up to it, and it's some sort of metal, and it's kind of pitted same way, so it's probably been there for who knows how long. And then right behind that was another object that really interested me. Now, if you know anything about sailing, especially blue water sailing, you have these fenders, these boat fenders that you put on the side, so when you pull into the dock and you're parked there with the shifting of the water and everything, your boat doesn't bump up against the dock and then crack the fiberglass or the wood. Well, they use these even in blue water sailing, and what happens is that you get this black line that goes around it from the water, where if it drags in the water, you start to get a black line around these things. And that is what I think that is a boat fender. And once again, what it's doing on Mars, I don't know. But the other object of real interest to me was this table. And it seems to be a little bench is what it is. It's not big enough to be a table. The legs aren't long enough, and it doesn't stand high enough. And let me go back to the image so you can see it again. If you look to the right of the image, all the way to the right, almost off the screen, you will see that table. And tell me that's not a table, or a bench anyway. It's probably a small bench. And it is just laying there, buried in the ground. All right? And that really interested me. And so this is what it looks like right here, or at least from what I saw. And you can see that this one leg is above the ground. You can see the shadow above it, just like in the image. And this one was just touching the ground from what I could see in the photo. That's what I saw. And that's about all I have on this video. But I do want to show you, hopefully I'll get this done in the next week. But please go to Chris's channel, Lunar Anomalies and Beyond, and watch this video. He just uploaded this a couple of days ago, and so I started modeling it because there are some amazing structures in there. And this was, I believe he said it was from Apollo 15. Oh, that's the wrong image. Hang on. And we're going to look at this crater in particular. Just give me a second to get to it. Okay. Now, we're going to look at that crater in particular, and let me just show you what I've done so far, and I'll try to make this quick. All right, so we're in Blender again, and I've taken that image and I made a screen capture of it, and then what I did was I turned it into a 3D object basically. So let me show you what Chris discovered in this, and I've modeled some of the objects already. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna put it in 3D perspective. So here we go. Let's go into this first crater here, and one thing that he noticed right off the bat actually was the wall in the background, and I'll get to that wall up here in just a moment. But I started modeling all these pipes, and that's taken the better part of 2 days. Well, ever since he uploaded the video and I watched it. This is what I'm seeing in that, and you know, I once again, I would encourage you to go to his video and watch this. This is really phenomenal stuff, and if you really look close into this, in the middle of the crater, you'll see those pipes, and they're there. I mean, in these big tanks, I have no idea what this stuff is, but I can tell you that it's they're tanks. I can see tanks. I can see pipes coming out the top. Okay. Let me get that in the center of the screen. These are tanks over here, and you see pipes coming out the top, and they go down, and this one I can tell comes out and comes forward, and then you've got this one here that comes out, actually goes over this pipe and back down. You've got this weird curve-shaped pipe at the front, and it seems to be standing on some sort of platform that has 6 sides, and then there's another one similar to it behind it. There's another tank here, and these are concrete walls that are around it from what I can tell. And then there's this L-shaped wall, which I have no idea what it does. And back here, this is some sort of craft or structure, and I'm still working on that. I just started modeling that a couple hours ago. And so the other part, let's go, well, it helps if I click on the object so it'll rotate around it. Let's go back here and look in this little crater here. There is a concrete wall there, and it's very decayed and everything. Let me click on that one so you can see this one a little better. And it's inside that crater, and then right behind it is a C-shaped wall, and I could see that on there, and it's really wild. I thought about modeling some of the stuff that he showed in this other crater, but this is going to take a while. These pipes, there's still a lot more, and it's taken a while. First of all, I had to get all the terrain right. So you can see I modeled the crater walls. If this is an actual crater, it's pretty flat going across. Now from the angle we're looking at, it looks like it goes downhill, but if you flatten that back out, it would actually be flat. So I've been working on that, and in my upcoming video, I shall get that out to you, and you have a look and tell me what you think. And if you can tell me what this thing is, that I would sure appreciate it, and I hope you can put it in the comments. Well, that's all I have for today, and hopefully the next one won't be as long, but hopefully I open your eyes a little bit, and maybe you can tell me what we're looking at. Thank you for watching, and make sure you check out Chris's channel and check out Neil Spence's Terraform Mars on a Facebook page. He's got some pretty interesting gigapans in there, and they're quite amazing. Thank you.